I'm back in a big way.
The only thing I want to know about Houston, who is their closer?
And now Şengün, defended by Green, for the lead. Now!
Game on the line, Draymond making a stop. It's like having Steph Curry take the shot.
It's a three-point game. Here comes Van Vliet on the move, trying to tie. The Golden State Warriors have held on.
We got all the confidence in the world that we can go in and close it out. Now that'll be our focus going down there.
All right, we opened this morning with an absolute thriller in San Francisco. The Warriors pulling one out against Houston. It's the 12th time under Steve Kerr the Warriors lead a playoff series 3-1. They're 10-1 in the previous 11. You don't need me to tell you what the one time they lost a 3-1 lead was in the finals. So Draymond just don't kick anybody and everything should be okay. Okay, now. So we got that. We got the one legendary team out west in good shape. We got the other legendary team in the west in big trouble.
Come on, Luka.
Lakers trying to avoid elimination tomorrow night against the Wolves. They blew a 10-point fourth quarter lead. JJ Redick has been getting a lot of criticism because he did not bench anyone, did not give anyone a rest in the entire second half. Our Kendrick Perkins watched that and then yesterday said this.
JJ, you mean to tell me the time that you went up 10 points that you couldn't find time to rest those guys and get those guys a breather? And you're going against a young athletic squad in the Minnesota Timberwolves who are a bunch of dogs? When it comes down to LeBron James, a guy that you need the most, especially towards the end of the game when it comes by possession, and you don't get the best out of him because you overextended his minutes, I got to blame this loss on JJ Redick. He got to take accountability on this.
Now, at the risk of asking for Duke-on-Duke crime, I have Jay Will and Carlos Boozer. Monica, you and I will sit back and just...
Go ahead, Boozer, you go first.
Is this on JJ Redick?
I think this is on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I just think they're taking it to the Lakers. Their bench has outscored them 112-51. Thanks, Himbo. Their others, McDaniels, Naz Reid, are outstanding. And Naz Reid is shooting 56%, averaging 14 and 4. McDaniels is shooting 58%, scoring 20 and 7. They're just outplaying the Lakers. Every game has been close, down to the wire, one possession, two possessions. The Lakers did have a temp. Now we're asking LeBron James to have a 25-point triple-double, play A-level defense, and close the game at age 40 in year 22. They're just getting beat by a deeper team.
Is it not, however, could one not take what he just said and say it's a one-possession game at the end and LeBron looks spent and maybe if he had gotten a little rest here and a little rest there, it would have been different? Is Perk right?
No, I don't think. I think we have programmed people to look at things as it's one thing. So all the blame has to be on JJ. And by the way, like his staff is pretty good, Greeny. It's Nate McMillan, it's Scott Brooks, Greg St. Jean. Like there's a lot of experience on the staff. I don't hear Perk calling out the staff. Right? So that's number one. Look,
because we don't call out the staff, Jay. We call out the head coach.
But I know, but by the way, the staff was constructed because JJ was a first-year head coach. That's why you bring in experienced head coaching former players, right? To do that. So, look, I think JJ coached the third quarter like a veteran. I think the fourth quarter, he coached more like a rookie, right? You can't play basketball in the playoffs on fumes. But, like, I think it's a bold move, but I don't think it's an incompetent move. Why the hell do we play this season? Why do you rest LeBron throughout the course of the season? Why are you ramping up Luka's moments and minutes if it's not for these two quarters? Like, it's you must-win scenario, right? It's a closeout situation. I can't knock that. You can make slight adjustments, but LeBron James makes a play down the stretch, you win the game.
Monica.
Numbers are not my strength, so if I mess this up, just go with the point I'm trying to make. There was a 10-point lead to start the fourth, right? Somewhere in there. By the 4-minute mark and change, the Timberwolves are poised to take the lead. So to me, to make the argument that you go to your bench then would be stronger if those guys were adding to it. But those guys were barely holding water. They ended up giving up the lead. So you think you have better on the bench to salve that game, to hold on to that lead? I just think hindsight is always 20/20, and it's easy to point the finger at JJ Redick. But the same praise that we've been giving him to put him in the Coach of the Year conversation, you gotta know he didn't just make that move by happenstance. I'm not saying it was his best coaching moment, Jay, but it's not as if those guys were blowing this thing out to 20 and I could go to my bench. They were treading water.
I have one thing I'm curious to get your opinion on it. So a lot of talk throughout the course of the season has been about, like, who is the best third option in the NBA? And a lot of people were saying AR, right? Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is missing a lot of shots.
A lot of
wide open shots. Now, he's been averaging 15 points in this playoff series where he usually averages 20. So like I'm saying, like Luka, LeBron, they're giving you stuff. I hear the minutes conversation, but AR has to step up in order to help you.
Well, the other thing that has been thematic in this postseason that I would offer is experience. And his experience in this moment, this is his first experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, here's what I would say about the whole thing. Of course, it's the coach's fault. It doesn't mean he's not a great coach.
Right.
When you try something, the difference between being the coach and sitting here is accountability. I can say whatever I want today and change my mind tomorrow, and it don't make a damn bit of difference. But when you're the coach and you try something like that, he did it because he believed in his heart it was exactly the right way to win, the best way to win, the best way to give him a shot, and you live with the circumstances. And when you're the coach, when you're the person charged with making that decision and it doesn't work, then yes, it's your fault. That's why it's a hard job. That's why they get paid a lot of money. So it's not necessarily a criticism.
So wait.
He had to make the decision ahead of time. If he had seen the result, obviously he would have done it differently. So I don't blame him for trying it. So I think all things can be right. At the end of the day, here's what I will say. You cannot ask LeBron James at the age of 40, even though he is obviously an alien and from another planet. Can we put up C10,
I don't know about
please?
that, Greeny.
LeBron James.
I don't know about that.
Well, here's the thing. LeBron James has played
can.
163 minutes.
I think you can.
In this postseason. Can we put up C10, please? He is at least a decade older than any of the 6 players with more minutes played this postseason. Can I say that again? He is at least a decade older than anybody else. If you're going to ask that of him on Friday night when he basically had to carry that team by himself, 38. And then 36 hours later ask him to go to do it again, and then it doesn't work, you wind up losing by 1 possession, of course people are going to point the finger at the coach. That's the lot in life.
Wasn't there a critical play down the stretch that they went back and they reviewed and they kind of thought, oh, okay, that could have worked out? I'm just saying.
Wait, the foul you
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So like,
should there not have been a foul on the line? Is the hand part of the ball?
Yes, hand is always part of the ball in the playoffs. All I'm saying to you is I hear all the numbers. This dude don't fit in that category with those numbers. He's different. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. And by the way, also LeBron's a player coach. You don't think LeBron has any?
He had 0 points in the fourth quarter. He did not take it. 0 points.
But you gotta let him be in it. Who are you putting in it? Dalton Connect?
I don't know who you put in.
Look down the bench. You only get 6 points on the bench.
What I'm saying is that's why it's so easy to sit where I'm sitting and say after the fact, obviously something else might have let you win. He had to do what he did. If I were sitting where he was sitting in the moment, I probably would have done exactly the same thing. That's why being an NBA coach is a hell of a lot harder than sitting here on TV giving opinions after the game has been played and you saw how it turned out.
My seat doesn't get warm. I'm very happy right here. I'm with you, Greeny. But I will also add this. As we all have sat around this table and watched this team evolve, the depth is not a new question.
Right.
It has just come back to the forefront because you got them young guns on the Minnesota Timberwolves operation running up and down the floor with depth.
But they played these other guys during the regular. I mean,
that's different. True. This is different. You shorten your rotation in the playoffs, so Greeny. And once again, all due respect to Perk,
he didn't just shorten the. I can't even see the rotation.
Well, let me tell you something. There is let's have a real honest moment. If we're all on the bench and we're the coaching staff, we're looking down that bench. We're saying
who we throwing in there?
Right. We probably do the same thing he did. And then when it doesn't work, we have to take the blame. That's the way life goes.
Of course, yeah.
You're right. You got 2 minutes. We got a media timeout. I need you to get to that media timeout.
Get there. I mean, that's the only way this team, I feel like, is going to have a legitimate chance to win, though.
Yeah.
So I guess my question I would ask you back is, yes, I get it, hindsight's 20/20, and you can be critical of it, but you don't think that gave them the best odds to win the game?
It probably did.
100%.
That's the question we're really asking.
When you do something that out of the box and you lose a close game like that, then that's what's going to happen. People are going to say, well, if you had done it the other way, maybe you would have won. And the answer is, we'll never know. Yeah. That's why that job is so hard. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. This is a perfect example of, so you want to be an NBA head coach? Right? It's a lot more fun sitting in there yelling at Stephen A. and going back and forth and all that kind of stuff, because you can do that every single day. You can change your mind every single day, and no one can say a word about it because you don't have to make decisions that actually matter.
They got 6 points from the bench.
I know
6 points from the bench.
But they didn't play
in the first half.
In the
first half.
I understand.
In the first half. So all I'm saying to you is your bench wasn't giving you anything anyway.
Right. We're not arguing. I mean, you and I are saying
I feel like we're saying the same thing.
We're just saying it loudly.
Passionately, yes.
Passionately.
The
Very
point
passionate.
is, what he did, what I probably would have done. And then when it was over, I would have to have asked myself, damn, did I screw that up? Because if I had gotten LeBron 2 minutes here, Luka Doncic looks like he's ready to drop. Now, whether that is his conditioning or the throwing up thing or whatever it is.
Yeah, the kangaroo pocket.
If there's anyone... Listen, I'm never going to knock a person for having GI issues.
Poisoning.
Lord knows. I've had more than my share of those. Okay, anyway, let's get to the more
I didn't
or
mean
less.
it like that, Mom.
Brought to you by ESPN Bet.
Came out.
Here's the important piece. We got ESPN Bet Sportsbook, people. More or less. Monica, Jalen Brunson tonight, 29.5 points. You going more or less?
Listen, don't come at me. Don't be in my DMs. I'm going more, and here's why. He's the clutch player of the year. In the last 2 games combined, 12 and 15. Well, you do the math. 12 and 15 points in the fourth quarter. The one caveat on this that made me hesitant to go more is I do think there's going to be a level of pressure from Thompson, Harris. I think they might switch up some defensive calls, and I think Cat is actually going to have the biggest game.
He's been over 30 in every game in the series so far. J-Will, Jokic, 51.5 points plus rebounds plus assists tonight for Denver, more or less.
I'm going to go more. I mean, it's just, look, the offense runs through him. And when you talk about this situation that Denver is in, you need your best player to go to another level.
Booze, Giannis, in what could be his last game as a Buck tonight, 34.5 points from Milwaukee, more or less.
I say more. I think it's possibly his last game in a Bucks uniform. He's going to go out with a bang, and there's no dang.
If you like
Indiana
those
building a
plays,
better wall than we have.
we've made those a parlay. Say it with me. Boost it, baby.
What?
We have parlayed that on ESPN Bet at the Sportsbook app at plus 610. Look for the more or less featured parlay on the homepage and in the parlay lounge. For Game 4 last night between the Rockets and the Warriors, a critical matchup. Steph Curry and Jimmy G buckets. He was terrific last night. Now, we got some bad blood here, Jay Will, and it starts right there.
Greeny, I'm all for it. And by the way, the fact that Steph, like I said, the villain instigates this whole thing tells you how confident he is and how he can stoke people up.
Yeah, he's looking up at Dylan Brooks like, that's your second foul, and then all heck breaks loose from there. Then we got more of this with Draymond as we continue. This is in the second quarter in a 1-point game. We got Tari Eason stealing it from Draymond, and Draymond's diving after him, and now we're falling all over each other. Booze, what are we seeing here?
We're just seeing 2 teams that want to win the game, man. They're going after it.
Yeah, don't let Draymond get suspended.
A little WWE.
He got a
left foot.
Yeah, he went,
almost kicked him in the place.
I'm a little worried. This is what I'm saying. That's Draymond. He got a flagrant 1. Rockets up 7 at the half. Then it was an unbelievable fourth quarter finish. Steph had a quiet night, but that's a brilliant 3. He had 17. It drew the Warriors within 1. Rockets up 1. Fred VanVleet.
Just made critical plays. I mean, a big 3. It makes another one a couple of minutes later.
Yeah, Rockets are up 4 there, but then it's Green and it's Jimmy G. Butler. And his Warriors are down 2. And then the next possession, does Buddy Hield have a green light at all times?
Yes.
I agree. Warriors up 1. Under a minute and a half to go. Rockets down by 3. Here's the other 3 you were talking about. VanVleet ties it at 104. A minute left. Here's a critical call. Monica McNutt, I'm looking right at you. Steph, the behind-the-back pass. Jimmy Butler. They call it a foul on the 3-point attempt. It's reviewed, and it stands. Your thoughts?
I didn't read the 2-minute report, but I thought this was a bad call. I mean, the way that this game was going, they're kicking each other in the head. Like, come on. No.
What do you think, Jay?
That left thumb is...
Well,
Jay, shut up.
I mean,
I'm being honest. That affects the shot.
Is it a foul? Anyway, he makes all 3 free throws. Thank you for distracting us from the point. Look at that rebound. Look at the rebound from Jimmy Butler. Critical board. He makes 2 free throws. Warriors up by 3. 4 seconds left. Rockets last chance. VanVleet with the prayer. Not answered. And the Warriors win. They take a 3-1 series lead. Butler at 27, and afterwards he chatted with Allie LaForce.
I die for these guys, for real. It's so fun. I got my joy back, as some would say. But more than anything, it's always good to win. Let me go, man. Go back there. What are you going to do? Nothing on national TV.
The way he has fit into that group, and again, they really missed him sitting on the sideline the other couple, those games with the injury, but you just see that. I mean, there's just something going on here. Jimmy Butler seems to have been the perfect addition for Steph Curry and his guys, and they are right now in control of this series.
We talked about it, particularly down the stretch of the regular season. Literally, first look at the free throws. Jimmy Butler gets to the free throw line. That is something that the Warriors were struggling to do prior to his arrival. But then you talk about Steph having a quiet night, 17 points, 6 made baskets. He can do that because he doesn't have to be the primary engine all the time. Jimmy Butler makes great plays on both sides of the basketball, and it truly fits into this Warriors identity.
I gotta be honest, I questioned it at first, but this is the best fit that he's had his entire career. And he's a force multiplier. He has more steals than he does turnovers. I mean, then he does fouls, excuse me. But also, think about all the teams that he's carried, Greeny. Like, think about some of these names. Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Kelly Olynyk, Solomon Hill, Goran Dragic. Like, those are rotational minutes. Got them to the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Okay, 2020. 2022, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, P.J. Tucker, Gabe Vincent, Kyle Lowry, Eastern Conference Finals. Now apply him to a revolutionary player in Steph Curry and a team that has that veteran mindset. It's best odds to win a chip.
You know him, obviously, Booz. What is Jimmy Butler doing for this team, and what are they capable of?
Just revitalizing this team. This team has been one of the generational teams of our generation. Phenomenal program organization over there. You bring in Jimmy Butler, and now they're contenders again. They're playing championship-level defense. They believe in their offense. To Monica's point, they give Steph Curry a break offensively, get them to the free throw line. It just takes pressure off everybody else because not only does he score, he also defends at an A-plus level.
Can we just go back and show that where they're talking, where you see Jimmy and Dylan Brooks talking?
Yeah.
I just want you guys to think about something. We all know who Dylan Brooks is, right? Dylan's always barking at people. Look how Dylan kind of like slightly backs down and starts laughing at Jimmy. Look at Jimmy's demeanor, and then look at Dylan's demeanor.
You want no part
like,
of Jimmy.
Who is Dylan Brooks doing that? He ain't backing down really from nobody. I'm not saying he's backing down from him, but still, it doesn't feel like the same venom because that's Jimmy Butler.
Well, talk to me about that, Booz. I mean, Jimmy Butler, he's tough, right?
He's tough. He makes no nonsense. He's respected in every locker room he goes to. That's why they all wanted this trade to happen, because they know what he was going to bring to the table. And you partner him up with Draymond Green. What a perfect force combination to have.
And it's very rare that the play of the night is a rebound. But, Matt, I don't know if we have it handy again, but that rebound he gets at the end, this isn't a one-point game in the final, whatever it is, 10 seconds left or whatever it is. Look at Jimmy just come flying in.
He's the first two.
Give me that.
Yeah.
That is a great rebound.
I think to Jay's point, as you look at where Jimmy has been, there is an urgency about this opportunity, not just for him, but for Steph and for Draymond. But there's also such tremendous respect for the process. And not that I felt like Jimmy Butler ever disrespected the process, but I think having poured his heart and soul into Miami and gotten as close as he could, I think there's just a mindset of like, I'm going to fit here, I'm going to amplify Stephen Curry because he's given me the chance to get it done.
But also people wanted him to, like, when you're the guy, and he's a Hall of Famer, he's a max guy, but he's not going to be a guy that carries you throughout the entire season. He saves it up for the playoffs.
This has been the perfect run.
It's like the perfect situation and fit.
Yeah.
So bad. These guys have it.
He was so close. I was there. You were talking about those Miami teams. The year they made the final, the year when they lost the second time to Denver, they really had no chance. That team, that game 7 against Boston the year before against Golden State, I was in the building. He had a shot in the air that would have won that game and sent them to the NBA Finals. And that with no disrespect intended to the players.
No,
that team had
that
no
roster,
business
that's what I'm
being where they
saying.
were.
He's outkicked his coverage everywhere he's been.
So we'll see if he can get it done. And again, the Draymond of it all as well. You want to talk about a guy, I've heard the obviously, over the years, there have been comparisons of Draymond Green and his impact on a game to what Dennis Rodman used to do back in the day for the Bulls, doing everything but score. And we saw that last night, particularly on the defensive end.
Nah, just outstanding. Phenomenal one-on-one defender. Again, guys, 1 technical foul, 1 flagrant, 5 personal fouls, 1 game-winning stop. That's Draymond Green. He disrupts everything that your offense is going to do. He has no problem being that guy on that team.
That's how he stuffs the stat sheet.
100%.
Exactly. He gave you the full performance. So the Warriors in good shape here. Let's put a ribbon on it here. They're up 3-1, obviously, in this series against a good, young Houston team. They're going to be there. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Rockets, their day will come. In the long run, they're going to hate losing this series, assuming that they do. But this is going to be a building block for them. They may need another piece. But does this Warriors team look like it might be ready to win another series after this and maybe some more?
Yes, but Minnesota looks really good. I think that's going to be a lot of fun if things hold based on the way these first-round series are going. But I will say this of the Rockets. To me, when the Rockets didn't get the game without Jimmy, that was it. That was it.
Very true.
Yeah.
Hey, so you have Minnesota.
I do not.
Confirmed.
I do not anticipate a historic comeback.
I'm on fire.